Because there are so many approaches to budgeting, it can be difficult to figure out how to do it. It all boils down to a few simple steps. Make a list of all of your sources and amounts of income. It's critical to understand how much money you have to cover your expenses and other budget items. Your income should, in fact, be the first line item on your budget. To begin, make a list of all of the anticipated income that you and your spouse will receive during the time period that you're budgeting for. It could be a week, 2 weeks, or even a month this time. Number 1, make a list of all of your sources of income and their respective amounts. It's critical to understand how much money you have to cover your expenses and other budget items. Your income should, in fact, be the first line item on your budget. To begin, make a list of all of the anticipated income that you and your spouse will receive during the time period that you're budgeting for. It could be a week, 2 weeks, or even a month this time. Number 2, make a list of all of your joint household costs. After you've calculated your total income, make a list of all of your anticipated expenses in one column. Some expenses remain constant from month to month. Rent or mortgage, groceries, and electricity, for example, are recurring expenses that must be accounted for. These recurring expenses can be divided into 12 categories for household budgeting. Organizing your expenses into these categories allows you to see where the majority of your money is spent while also keeping your budget organized. Simply enter your expenses into the appropriate categories. Mortgage, HOA dues, lawn care, and property taxes, for example, could all be included in your housing category. Number 3, make a rough estimate of how much you'll spend on each item. Even if some expenses are repeated, the total cost may not be the same each time. As a result, it's critical to review your expenses whenever you make a new budget. Estimating and listing your expenses also allows you to see what areas of your budget can be cut to free up funds for other purposes. Taking an average of what you've spent in the previous months is the simplest way to estimate your expenses. Take a 3-month average of your grocery costs to get an estimate for the coming month, for example. In some cases, you'll be able to determine the exact amount from a billing statement, while in others, you'll simply need to decide on a limit. This is true for a variety of expenses, including gifts and savings. You can decide how much you want to spend on these line items. The key, however, is to come up with a budget that you can both afford and stick to. Add up all of your estimates and subtract them from your projected earnings. Is it more than your expected earnings? If that's the case, you'll need to cut back on some of your expenses. If it's less than your expected income, put the extra money towards savings or debt repayment. Number 4, keep track of your expenses. The most crucial aspect of budgeting is keeping track of your expenses. After all, you need to know if you're on track to meet your financial goals. There are 2 simple ways to keep track of your spending with your spouse. Spreadsheets or templates that can be shared. You can save your budget spreadsheet to Google Drive or Dropbox so that you and your spouse can refer to it or edit it whenever you want. Here are some fantastic budget templates, as well as a budget example. Number 5, discuss your finances frequently. Your budget meeting does not preclude you from discussing the budget and spending with your spouse as needed. You should always be in touch with each other about your finances and spending. It's all about getting to the point where discussing your finances is second nature to you.